A long and bitter war at Troy had finally come to an end. The blood-soaked fields lay abandoned, and the towering walls of the great city of Troy were nothing but ruins. The Greek warriors, weary and worn from years of battle, set their sails to return to their homes. Among them was Odysseus, the shrewd and courageous king of Ithaca, a hero renowned for his wisdom and bravery. Yet, though the war had ended, Odysseus knew that a perilous journey still lay ahead. For many days and nights, Odysseus and his men drifted across the wine-dark sea. They battled forces of nature, fighting against colossal waves that threatened to swallow them whole. But their journey was never meant to be easy. They had barely begun their voyage when they came upon an island, far from any familiar shore. Rising from the depths like a beast, the island loomed with towering, merciless cliffs, draped in wild trees and tangled vines. As they approached the shore, the men saw a thin wisp of smoke rising from the top of a distant hill, a clear sign of living beings inhabiting that land. Despite all the hardships they had gone through up until that point, Odysseus was steadfast and full of hope. "Come on, friends," said Odysseus. "Perhaps the people who lit those fires will be kind to us and give us some food. Let's take them some wine as a present." With these words, the men steered the ship toward the shore, their hearts heavy with exhaustion, yet stirred by hope. Their steps were slow but determined. Their boots scraped against the rough stones, the sound breaking the eerie silence of the island. The land before them appeared wild and untouched, as if no human foot had ever stepped upon it. Silent trees and solemn rocks seemed to gaze indifferently at the strangers who now set foot on their soil. They climbed the rugged path until they reached the mouth of a vast cave hidden deep within the cliffs. A faint light from the cave's mouth fell upon their dusty faces. The men, with cautious steps, entered one by one. One of the men, his eyes sparkling with astonishment, gazed around and said, "By the gods, this cave could provide us with food for months. Look at this stockpile. Let's take some of these supplies before the owner of the cave returns and leave this place." Odysseus, who was always a cautious and wise man, stepped forward. He spoke in a firm and serious tone. "No, we are not thieves of the night. We do not take what does not belong to us. The owner of this cave may be a kind-hearted man, a shepherd from this very land. We must stay here, offer him a gift, and request shelter according to the custom of hospitality. The gods honor those who show kindness to strangers." They settled inside the cave, their eyes scanning the surroundings in a silence thick with anticipation. Soon, the distant bleating of sheep reached their ears, a soft sound that echoed through the stone chamber. But it wasn't long before the heavy thud of footsteps rose from deep within the earth, as if the very mountain had begun to move. The ground trembled beneath their feet, and from the heart of the darkness, the massive and awe-inspiring figure of a giant emerged, a creature the likes of which they had never seen before. His height seemed taller than the highest walls of cities. His body was immense and broad, with thick, leathery skin stretched over his powerful muscles. From the center of his forehead, a single large and terrifying eye stared at them. The men recoiled in fear, but Odysseus, who was always calm and composed, stood firm before him. "Strangers, you dared to enter my home? Who are you, and why have you come to my land?" Odysseus, calm and composed despite the danger, stood firm. In a loud, confident voice, he replied, "We are Greeks, survivors of the Trojan War. We seek only a little food to continue our journey. We have brought with us a gift from our ship, some fine wine." The Cyclops let out a thunderous laugh, a sound that echoed through the cave like distant lightning. He stretched out his massive hand and seized two of Odysseus's men. With terrifying strength, he crushed them in its grip and devoured them whole. Their agonized screams reverberated through the stone chamber. He laughed again, wiping his bloodied, filthy mouth with the back of his hand. With scorn in his voice, he said, "Food, eh? A royal feast. You Greeks are thin and delicate, but your flesh makes for a fine meal." Then, with a massive stone, he sealed entrance to the cave, a stone so large that even 10 men could not move it. Now, what should they do? Could they survive this ordeal? What would Odysseus do to save his men's lives?